in the world, in this country, obviously, the thing that a lot of people are chasing is wealth and success. At least in America, that's all we know, right? I read things online and it seems like maybe not every country's like that, that's not the focus, but for whatever reason, which is why we have so much innovation and success coming out of America, because we have this mentality that we're chasing success and wealth. But most people don't achieve it. And they don't achieve it in the outside world, and they don't achieve it in the, in the job world, the business world, but even in the Primerica world, many people don't achieve the level at which they aspire to. Right? Now you have a lot of people in Primerica that are making 80, 100,000, they've been in the business for 20 years, and they'll take that over working a job any day of the week. So being, a salesperson in Primerica, running your tiny little team of maybe 2-3 people, right? People are laughing, but at the end of the day, it's still better than having a job. Yeah. So some people have perfected that, but they haven't gone beyond, right? And so I was thinking, the people that I work with now, in the past, and in the future, what types of things do we instill to make sure that you're part of that minority of people that can have the level of success that you actually want, which I think is, $250,000 or more, $20,000 a month. So I wanted to go through a couple of things here. Some of the things Shaq already talked about. And by the way, sometimes it's going to sound like, oh man, Samir's always talking about the same thing. Shaq is always talking about the same things. Yes, we are talking about the same things because we're trying to drill it home. The Primerica opportunity is unorthodox. A normal opportunity is you come at a certain time. Every single time you come, you're told exactly what to do. Your pay is very predictable. You're doing things that are normal and that you're used to doing, and maybe you did at your last job. Everything here is different. The thinking is different. The activity is different. The expectations are different. The results are different, right? How it makes you feel is different. There's some things that are difficult about it. So we got to hit home on some of these things because we only, some of you guys I only see at the meetings. You see me for 1 hour today, you see me 1 hour for Saturday. There's 168 hours a week. 166 people are putting normal stuff in your brain. How to be normal, how to be average, right? How to get by, how to survive. So for 2 hours a week, I want to give you new ideas. Now they may not be new to your ears because you've heard it before, but you're still not listening yet. You're hearing it, but you're not listening yet. Someone's got to pound it in your brain until you start to actually do it, right? And the first one is that recruiting and building are keys to wealth and security. I want my team to have what I have. And I'm not even where I want to be, but at least get to what I have, where you have a team of people that can produce without you, where they're chasing their own goals and dreams, where if you're not at the office every single minute of the day and you're not in the field every single day, you're still going to make a sizable income. And the people are not doing it for you, they're doing it for themselves, but you put them in a position where they can do it for themselves. Now Primerica has a lot of ways where you can make money. There's people out there that, mainly the investment business, and I love it. I participate in the investment business. But that's not my primary focus in how I make money. I want to make money, even through the investment business, by recruiting and building people. I want to recruit someone and they find $1 million and I help them get it. Because if you figure out other ways to make money in Primerica other than recruiting, you are going to be a salesperson. That's not a bad thing, but it's not all that it's cracked up to be. The $1 million for someone who's just doing investments and then the person who has built an organization, very different lives. Very different lives. I know very successful in Primerica and outside of Primerica people with tons of assets under management. That means you have a lot of investments under you. And they're getting a lot of income off of that, right? But you're doing real meetings with clients. Like the type of clients that we get, it's like, hey, money's in for 6 years and we don't get paid anything after the first time. And it's kind of like it's riding the market. When you're these types of financial advisors in and out of Primerica, it's, there's things happening in the market on a daily basis. People want to talk to you weekly. You're charging them actual fees. The same fees that other firms are charging. It kind of like commoditizes the business. They can go to any firm and pay 1.5%. Right? So you have an actual job. You have to be there. My clients, they call once in a while. I'm usually chasing down my clients, like, hey, you have $2 million. We haven't talked in 6 months. Like, pick up my call. It's a very different business. Especially managing people's retirement accounts, which is most of what Primerica does when you're growing the kind of business we are. There's nothing really to talk about. You're 20 years away. Everything's fine. When you're managing people's non-qualified money, real wealth management, I was telling Shaq this the other day, is not managing people's retirement. That's a very small percent of people's wealth. Because retirement accounts have contribution limits. If I can only put in 20 grand a year or an IRA 7 grand a year, how much could someone have accumulated inside of their 401k? Okay, someone has $1 million, big deal. Real wealth management, they're looking for people who sold businesses, people who get inheritances, people who get settlements, 10, 20, 30 million, athletes. That's not like set it and forget it for 20 years. That's a very different business. So you see the money that people are making in a securities only business, I'm telling you, it's not the same as having, 5 RVPs, 10 RVPs under you, and you can be anywhere you want, like Bruce, and those people are independently building their own businesses and you make money off it. I get a $2 million client, maybe I put them in annuity, maybe I put them in managed funds or whatever people are doing nowadays, and that person, remember this, the $2 million client is getting a lot of calls from a lot of people and they have a lot of options. My $250,000 client has no options and is not getting any calls except for me. That's the business I want to be in. You go chase big investment clients, you're like, now we're getting out of helping middle income people and now we're going doing what everyone else is doing, we're trying to go get rich people's money. Again, you can make $1 million doing that in this awesome company, but I'm just trying to get you to understand the differences. And by the way, if you're getting those types of clients without recruiting, yeah, most of us are not that good to do that. If I had to come in at 22, 23, 24 years old and you told me, go find the clients without recruiting people, where am I going to find all these people? Right? I had to recruit Josh, who was 18, and go see his mom, who was 40, and she invested money with me because of the relationship with him. I wasn't good enough to approach her at that age. I didn't have the competence. I didn't have the experience. We are closing sales through people's relationships, and we're doing the right thing for people. To go do it just direct and go find all these clients, it's really difficult to do that. Yeah, you have people out there, right, that have extensive networks, extensive credibility, and good for you. I'm not building an organization where I'm solely recruiting people like that. Recruiting is the best prospecting strategy for clients. It's a lead generation. And I told you guys 6 months ago I had an interaction with a guy who has $4 billion under management, one of the biggest financial advisors around here. He's actually a friend of mine now through someone else. He goes, oh, Primerica, buy term, invested different, this and that, right? And he knew. And he goes, yeah, but you guys spend a lot of time on recruiting, right? Didn't say it in a bad way, right? Because you spend a lot of time. And I go, yeah, but it's the best lead generation system in the world. And he goes, explain that to me. I was like, well, me and my business partner, I think we licensed 100 people last year. It was at the beginning of the year, right? I was talking about the year before. And I said, 30, 40 of those people stick around, and they're bringing in clients, right? And he's like, oh, yeah. He's like, man, that's a lot of licensed people you're bringing in. I was like, yeah, that's why we recruit a lot of people. And then he thought about it, he goes, but you're doing term. I was like, well, we do securities too. And then he thought, he goes, are you doing VA? I said, yeah. He goes, oh, okay, I get it. You guys are getting a lot of clients. If we were just doing term insurance, it'd be one thing. We're mixing in securities from all the stuff we're getting from recruits. So if you want wealth, you gotta bring in business in volume, okay? So if I'm all by myself, can I bring in enough volume to make a substantial amount of money? Yes, but would it be easier with 10 people helping me? Of course, it's math. If you gotta get to 2 million in investments or 50 insurance clients, is it easier for one person to do 50 or 10 people to do 5? It's just math, it's easier. And the security comes from what? If something happens to me and I'm not able to service my clients anymore, or if my top producer, all this stuff, I have security when I have a big team of people that know what they're doing. All these things are the difference between, like, Xander and Josh, to be honest, they didn't believe me for a long time. They would look elsewhere in the company. That's fine, right? I have no ego. If they want to go learn from other people, talk to other people, be infatuated with other organizations because they have a great social media and all that, that's awesome. And there's many people in Primerica that are way more impressive and better than me. But I'll tell you one thing, man. All I tell them is keep watching their numbers, keep seeing, and you start seeing holes in people's businesses. You see people doing a lot of production, sometimes their cash is off, or they make a lot of money than little money, right? Even in Primerica, you gotta do the right things. We teach the right things so people can make real money here.
Yeah.
Who would they follow?
I'm not gonna name names because these are all great people. These are all good people, right? But just because I like you doesn't mean I want your business, right? This is another thing that makes us different. We must do the whole job for the client because it is the moral and ethical thing to do. People come to me all the time with questionable things that the Primerica questionable is different than other company questionable, right? It's like 1 degree difference where it's better for us maybe than the client, and I still say never do. When it's an argument with a client or argument with you guys, I always take the losing position. That's how I've gotten to where I am in life. I'm not always trying to get that little extra bit out of people, right? We do the right thing for people. You got a good term, most of the time keep it. Now, very few of them out there. If your investments are doing okay and you have a good financial advisor and you have a relationship and he calls you, I'm not fighting for that business. There's enough people out there that are orphan clients.
Yeah.
Why am I going to try to get you out of that relationship? And right? I don't want someone to do that to me for a client I've had for 20 years. But we also, the reason why these young guys are going to make so much money is because I'm big on quality, writing good quality business. We look at our pending report. We see why did this person cancel? What was their family situation? What is their income? What is their budget? Why did you think that this person could afford insurance? You think other offices are talking about this? They're not. They don't care. They just say, bring in the volume. Because when you bring in the volume, there's ways for people at the top to still make money, but the people that are in the organization are getting a lot of chargeback. That's not what we believe in here. That's the difference, right? And doing the whole job is making sure that clients have investment accounts, that clients are learning about retirement. You have to talk about qualified plans. How are you going in saying that we do financial services, the only thing you talked about was insurance? You gotta talk about Roth IRA. You gotta talk about rolling over. You gotta project out what they're gonna have in the future. And obviously, you make a lot more money when you do the full job. I want to talk about something else too, is that part of being in Primerica, there's two things. This is something that the way that I explain it to them, and these, I'm saying them because these are people that I spend the most time with, right? Because we're in the same office. But I tell them, and you can learn from it too, is that there's the Primerica game, and then there's the Primerica business. You gotta play the Primerica game, but you also have to be running a real business. So what do I mean by that? If Sushil figured out a way to license, like he just figured out a hack where he could license 3 people, he could recruit 3 and license 3 100% of the time. He's adding 36 licenses a year, and he's building his business that way. You're gonna do well, but the problem is you're under the radar for the Primerica game. Primerica wants you to recruit what it takes to qualify at your level. So it might be 5, it might be 10. You know, as an RVP, Primerica wants me to recruit 20 people a month. What is this number 20, Shaq? What significance does it have? To me, I've been in the business long enough to know, really no significance. Is it because they want 20,000 premium, so they're just saying do also 20 because it's easier to say 20 by 20? I don't know, it's so arbitrary. But Sheila, we've got to get the IBAs to get the bonus, right? You have to play the game. You have to understand the Primerica game. You have to recruit people. You have to recruit a certain amount of people. You have to get a certain amount of premium at whatever level you are at. And you got to play that game. The problem is people get really good at playing the game and they forget it's a real business and they recruit only low quality people and only get low quality insurance premium. And they're winning the game and they go to these trips, but they're not making any money because they don't have a real business. I prioritize the business over the game, but I understand that the game exists. And Shaq and I were also very good at that. Okay, what game you want us to play? Okay, you want us to do, 30 recruits, or you want us to do this, that, whatever. We can do that. But not at the, we're not gonna sacrifice our own income for that. Shaq and I talk about it all the time, If you could have a business, like some of these other people's businesses, where you're doing 500,000 in premium and this and this and this, and I make more, but in that kind of system, the people under me are finding chargebacks, or they have a low quality of business, or sometimes they make 50,000 a month, next month they only make 10,000, their income is fluctuating. I don't want that business, even if I make more. I don't want it. I like my business, where people are making money, and we're doing the right thing, and we're growing the right way, and we're focusing on the right things. I don't envy anyone else in Primerica. I'm good. If I want to make more money, I'm going to do it my way, when I want to do it my way. We have a duplicatable system that is easily transferable, okay? The leader's #1 job is to create belief. And if I go out there, right, I think you guys, I've been in the business a long time, and I'm good at the business. I can sell just by speaking. I don't need to draw anything. I can build very good rapport with the client, and I can just illustrate with my words. And they'll be like, oh yeah, I want that. How much is it? But if I take Elijah and he sits and he watches me do this, he's gonna be amazed, but at the same time, he's gonna be thinking, how the hell do I do that? You didn't write anything, you didn't draw anything, you didn't show anything, you didn't present anything, you're just talking. Because you develop, right, after thousands of interactions, you have a charisma. The new people is not gonna have charisma. They need to watch Tia's video and just say those same words every single time. That's where they're gonna find comfort. They're gonna find comfort in seeing something repetitive, not seeing you do a different thing every single time with every different person. If you want to have a business, it has got to be duplicatable, right? There's a reason why McDonald's doesn't have chicken parmesan on the menu. Because you know why? A 16-year-old can't make that easily. And they want their business run by people, doesn't matter what language they speak, doesn't matter the level of education, it doesn't matter their age. So they keep things very simple. There's simple things on the menu that are easy to make. That's the thing people, hey, why don't we do this product and that product? Because it's not simple. Do you want to have 100 people, or you want to just brag about how good you are at 20 different things?
Right.
It's all ego shit, right? I also do mortgages, and I do this, and who cares? Recruit 100 people. Some people will do the mortgages. Some people will do this. Some people will do that. Stop having like this specialist mindset. That's a self-employed mindset. Where the surgeon says, oh, I don't just do this type of surgery, I do this type of surgery. There's only a few of me. Awesome, you're great. But you're never gonna have a business where there's 20 of you. You're always gonna be in surgery.
Right.
So when you take Primerica's simple products and you incorporate it in a simple system that you can promote and people can copy, like Xander, how long is your interview?
30 minutes max.
30 minutes, right? And most of it is you telling your own story and all that, right? There was a time Josh used to recruit a lot of people. How? By being like, okay, we're gonna start this video and watch it together. How long was that video?
17 minutes.
17-minute cartoon that we created that would explain the Primerica. It was an awesome video.
Yeah.
Explain the Primerica video, the Primerica opportunity, and how many people would join off of that?
Like 80-90%.
Everybody. He didn't have to present. He did that for years during COVID. But what happens is we want to come across as so talented and so good, and we want to wow everybody, right? That's not what works here. Learn the presentation the way that certain people do it, and you do the exact same thing. That's it. Don't change anything. Again, it could be better the way I want to do it, but it's not duplicatable. That's the thing that I had to learn to understand as I started developing talent. I was like, my talent is not helping my guys. They just have to hear me do the regular presentation. And that is why many times, sometimes my team asks me to go on appointments with certain people. It's not that I don't want to go on the appointment, I just know it's going to be inconsistent from maybe what Josh is presenting with Shondell, because I'm not in the field as much. Of course I'm going to get the sale. Of course I'm going to wow the client. Of course I'm going to get, they're going to believe in the company and I'll give a great impression. That's literally the only thing I know how to do. But the recruit's going to say, that was awesome, but yeah, it's a lot different than what Josh does. Not that what Josh is doing is not right, it's just more duplicatable. So if you want to go out into the field and you want to start training other people, you have to learn the presentation that all the trainers are doing. We all got to be on the same page, right? And you have to sell that system. And then lastly, right, we must have a standard of excellence, or else we will have a standard of mediocrity. That's why I didn't care. Like, Josh could go out there and make, $17,000 a month like he's done before, or he can do 30 IBAs, and I'd be like, where's your premium? How come you never done 30K? I did 30K 18 months in the business. Why didn't you do it? Now he did it. Good for him. Now he can say that. He can say, I did 30K. I did 40 by 30. I've made 17,000, because I know that if I can help him get as many notches on his belt as possible, he's going to be able to sell that to his team, and he can have people that are chasing his goals, his accomplishments, his track record. Always remember, I wanted to be number one so I could ask someone else to be number one. I wanted to make a lot of money so I could encourage other people to make a lot. I was doing the things that I knew I'd have to encourage other people to do, and now it's happening. People are doing it. Standard of mediocrity is, celebrating low numbers when we know we should be doing better, promoting people on low numbers, letting people cheat on promotions or not doing everything they need to do, and we're just giving it to them. That's a standard of mediocrity, right? We don't set the standards by saying it. It's the number one people in an organization, you are setting the standard. So if you are a leader in our organization, whether you're an RVP or you're below RVP, you should strive to raise that standard. If he did 30, you should try to do 40. If he did 30, he's probably thinking, I need to do 50.
Yep.
Someone's got to start showing up with, 30, 40 people in attendance versus just 20 like we've been having. Because people are going to follow what that number one person is doing. People are watching, right? So I hope that was helpful. already the 4th of a new month. A lot of momentum from last month. For the people that had a good month last month, is because you had a fast start. So the 7th is already coming up. What, on Thursday? It's already going to be 1 week in. So these next few days matter. So you can say in your first week, you know, you hit the board. Shaq, anything else we need to go over? All right, team on 3. 1, 2, 3.